Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here at my next Legend of Korra news update video, and also my speculation going into K409 Beyond the Wilds, 9th episode of Book 4 Balance. So yeah, only thing in the news I want to talk about is just I want to give some more thoughts on the whole Book 4 budget cut, which obviously resulted in Remembrances being the way it was. I focus purely just on the episode. I didn't really discuss the budget cut that much in that because I wanted to focus on the episode, and that was just a factor that went into that episode. But here I want to talk about more, I suppose, the out-of-universe stuff, actual effect of the show of this, and I suppose the main thing is just that I think for most fans this has been the final straw with Nickelodeon, because they've made a lot of mistakes in the past with regards to changing the time slot of the show constantly, changing the day of the show, not advertising it too much. Then they kind of switched to digital, and still kind of not advertising it too much. But all of that stuff has kind of been like, okay, but at least Nickelodeon is not affecting the content of the show that Mike and Brian put out. At least they're letting Mike and Brian do what they want, because that's what we've heard all along, that basically Nickelodeon asked for a certain amount of episodes, and they've basically given Mike and Brian free reign to do what they want. Obviously, like, within reason, like, they're not going to allow them to do anything too crazy, but even so, they still allowed them to do stuff like the Tarlock, Noatak murder-suicide thing, and so on, police death and stuff like that. They've allowed them to do all that sort of stuff, and you have to kind of praise Nickelodeon a little bit for that. But now that we found out that they cut the budget of a season that they specifically ordered, they asked Mike and Brian for more seasons after the first one. They wanted 3 extra seasons, and they gave them a certain budget, and now they've cut it. So the idea is obviously, like what was said, was that they cut the budget of Book 4 by about the price of 1 full episode. So they had to animate 13 episodes for the price of 12, and that obviously resulted in us getting a less than stellar episode in Remembrances, despite it still being, good for what it was. And yeah, this is the first time Nickelodeon's actions have actively affected the show that we get. They have forced Mike and Brian's hand to either, fire members of their own crew who they've worked with for years early just to get a proper full episode, or either force their hand and make them do this episode. Mike and Brian are nice guys, they didn't want to do that, and so we got the episode that we got. And I don't think anyone can really argue with Mike and Brian for making that decision. What you can argue is Nickelodeon for making the decision to cut the budget in the first place, and that's where the problems arise from, because them doing that led to us getting an episode in the middle of a season that's otherwise been amazing. A episode that is a big drop in quality. And really last straw, because ultimately the budget cut has been completely caused by Nickelodeon themselves, because their constant changing of the time slots, all of these other mistakes that they've made before, have all basically amounted to this eventual budget cut. Like, they've just seen in their eyes probably that, oh look, the show's ratings have gone down, look at this, we now have it on digital only, let's drop the budget of this show because it's not on our channel. When Nickelodeon made all of those decisions, and they've resulted in this budget cut now, and the show has been affected. And it comes across so bad because Korra, just as a fact, is Nickelodeon's most highly acclaimed show. It's a show that brings in a completely different audience to Nickelodeon than any other of their shows. Like, I think that's a fact. Like, it is a different audience. Like, most Korra fans really don't watch other shows on Nickelodeon apart from maybe Turtles. But even so, Korra, I think, is the kind of a different one. And I think it says a lot that this new audience that they have, they're not really treating that well. Even so, they've kind of dragged people away from their channel by putting it on digital only, which, yes, it's good for their website and stuff like that, but still, ultimately has probably resulted in this budget cut. So lots of problems here, and it just makes Book 4, like, which has been really good so far, like probably the best start to a book so far, now look kind of bad. And because this is the final season of the show, it also comes across even worse. That final season, it should be, everything Mike and Brian could do to make this season absolutely amazing, and now they've forced their hand to basically, like, I assume, like, they're pushing the limits on their budget with the remaining 12 episodes, because some budget had to go into this episode. So somewhere along the line, there's other episodes in the book that have also been affected, just less so. So it's really bad for Nickelodeon that this has happened. And it really presents just the fact that, like, are Mike and Brian, would they want to work with Nickelodeon again, even if they, like, immediately had another Avatar show to make? I'm not so sure now, and I've been very optimistic about the future of Avatar on TV in terms of new animations going forward. But now, I think this budget could have changed a lot. And yeah, just all the people calling for, like, Mike and Brian to change networks and stuff like that, find some way to kind of take Korra Avatar franchise away from Nickelodeon. Probably right at this point in time if Nickelodeon are not going to support it as well as it should be. Instead, they're making all these other new crazy sitcom comedies things, and then supporting SpongeBob, a SpongeBob movie and stuff like that, when Korra is the best thing they have. It's just really kind of sad state of affairs for Nickelodeon. And then you have shows like Turtles, which is still a good show, but it has way too many episodes, and they've probably given them way too big of a budget for what the actual amount of content story that they have, and that's not working for Turtles. So, reallocate budgets, make Korra better is probably the way to go, but the book is made now, and hopefully the remaining 5 episodes are better. So let's get into speculation on K409, which is titled Beyond the Wilds. We've seen one preview clip of the episode, and that is of our airbender friend Ryu, basically giving a tour around Republic City's kind of spirit wild section with all the spirit vines to his mother and some other people, like a reporter and stuff like that. He's reading off cue cards about how, some facts about it. When they ask, are we in the spirit world now? And he's like, no. And then suddenly a vine starts to move closer to them. The reporter guy goes to poke it with a stick. It grabs him and then proceeds to grab everyone else as Ryu struggles to kind of hold them off, and I think everyone's captured by the end. So, you have the spirit vines attacking people now in Republic City. Clearly a direct response to what Kuvira has already done to Republic City, in that she's taken a good few spirit vines from there, and now she's taking spirit vines, trying to take all of the spirit vines out of the swamp. And clearly, we're probably going to find out the nature of these spirit vines in terms of, like, how they react, how they interact and stuff like that, because I assume Korra, Jinora, and all these other characters are going to get on the case on this immediately to try and sort out this problem. And I think it overall plays into probably the fact that my prediction of maybe, like, humans and spirits working together to fight Kuvira coming true, and maybe a part of this episode will be Korra convincing spirits or whatever controls the spirit vines or something like that, that it's only a certain group of humans who's actually doing this to the spirit vines, and that most other people in the city are actually, like, happy about that. And you could see just in the city that for the most part it's been fairly fine with humans and spirits living together, because I think the spirits plot it's one negative on the series so far, that it has kind of been dropped after the end of book 2. But I hope it comes back and we actually get some focus on the spirits. Now, we do know that Korra goes to the spirit world again in the book from one of the book 4 clips and the trailer. She goes in, obviously, in her new outfit. Now, will that happen in this episode? I'm not really sure, but I would hope so and expect it to. Just because it seems like the natural way to resolve this. Because obviously the episode is called Beyond the Wilds. And now what we know about wilds in terms of spirits is that from the episode's beginnings, the various kind of plant life, spirit plant life around the line turtles was always called the spirit wilds. And you could effectively say that the swamp and now parts of Republic City are spirit wilds as well. So going beyond the wilds is either saying that, like, you go into, like, the center of where all of this is in the swamp or in Republic City, or you go to the spirit world, which I suppose is the source of the Vine's power or something like that. So that's interesting, and I really do hope that they kind of explain the nature of the spirit vines, because obviously, like, they're also being addressed with the whole spirit vine weaponry as well, that they're made of energy and stuff like that. Yet Korra's spirit bending can't get rid of them. It only causes them to kind of recede, but then immediately spring back out. Like, they're basically kind of indestructible in a way. So that's pretty interesting concept, and I'd like to see that explored. But at the same time, this is introducing another new kind of plot mystery to the series when there's already so much other stuff going on. We've only got 5 episodes left, and obviously they have to devote a good amount of time to not just having the book 4 finale, but having the book 4 finale be the series finale for Korra overall. So a lot of work for the show to do going into its last few episodes, because you still have Korra dealing with the fact that whenever she confronts Kuvira, she sees this vision of herself in Kuvira. That's the kind of last thing that Korra needs to resolve. You have Wu potentially having some sort of arc, and as the episodes go on, I'm kind of tending to go with the fact that, like, more and more maybe he won't have an arc, and maybe they'll just kind of leave it in that, like, okay, we're not quite ready for Wu to be the prince. He's learning and is on his way, but not just yet. Like, something like that maybe will be what they do with Wu. Instead of just Kavira's defeated, we'll put Wu in power. But like that they show that he has grown from being around Team Avatar a bit, and will make a good king in the end. Something like that would be kind of nice, because they wouldn't need to devote too much time to it, but it would also show some sort of growth for him, which seems to be like the only way they can go right now. So, what else is there? Mako himself, I suppose apart from having something else with Wu, and maybe them addressing Makora if they do anything with that, the only real thing I can see happening, and of course Mako and Bolin reuniting again will be interesting, which, will it happen next episode? I would hope so, just because last episode we did get all those characters, Varric, Bolin, Baraz, Anna, on the boat. So it'd be nice to see them actually arrive at Republic City, and maybe Bolin meets up with Team Avatar while they're in the middle of all this action going on. You could have Bolin reunite with Opal and have that scene of him kind of begging for forgiveness, and the two maybe coming back together, because that would work. And then you would also have him telling them about what Kavira's plan is with the spirit vine weaponry, because that would tie into the episode being about spirit vines, in that the spirit vines are attacking each other, and now Bolin gives Korra the reason for why the spirit vines are doing what they're doing, and maybe gives Korra a solution to the problem, and that she can go into the spirit world and tell all the spirits that, look, I'm the Avatar, I'm not doing this, it's this woman and her army that are doing it, and we need your help. And maybe that's where the human spirit team up happens, if it does happen. I'm not really sure. But I think Jinora is definitely going to play a part in this episode, just because she is the most spiritual. She probably knows the most about the spirit wilds. And we do have that shot that we haven't seen yet in the book of Jinora flying in her wingsuit through Republic City with the kind of wilds in the background. So it'd be interesting to see if she gets a big moment in the episode. And I'd also like to see just an update on where Kai is, because I'd like to see more of the Kai-Jinora relationship and see where that's going. Because we really haven't had much of it, apart from Kai telling Opal that their long-distance relationship is good. So I'd like to see what they're actually like together now, a few years later. If they have been, like, I suppose, dating for like 3 years, basically. It would be really nice to see that couple. But other than that, what else is going to happen? Hiroshi Sato and Asami Sato, will they do anything else with that? I would hope so, in that maybe they set up more than what's actually there. Because I think they definitely need to get more action stuff going, so will they devote time to that happening? Or will maybe the spirit vines, like attacking people, break prisoners out or something like that, and Asami and Hiroshi will be forced to kind of trust each other while he's free or something like that? Not really sure. What else is there to talk about? The other airbenders, I assume they'll get involved as well with Jinora in action. That would be nice to see. Maybe Tenzin, see what he's like with if he has a wingsuit too. Boomy in action. That would be also pretty cool. What else? I'd like to also catch up with, I suppose, Kuvira and Batar, and see what their plan is going forward, because obviously the assassination of Wu kind of took place without us really knowing that she wanted that to happen. So I'd like to see what her plan is going forward. Like, is she actually trying to take over Republic City? What is the plan when she has this Spirit Vine weapon? What's the progress on that like right now? Is Toph going to do anything? Like, there's a lot of stuff still to like be addressed kind of going forward. And right now I kind of expect what the episode will be is just focusing on a lot of people in Republic City. Like, Bolin maybe arrives like halfway through the episode, tells Korra what's going on, she goes into the spirit world, maybe attempts to resolve stuff, there's maybe a cliffhanger ending with her, and then the episode fully ends with like an update on what Kuvira and Batar are doing, or something like that. Because let's not also forget that there's the whole Beifong story still to be addressed, with Opal wanting to free the rest of her family as well, and they're probably held still in Zhao Fu. And Lin, I suppose, would probably come back into things at some point, meet her mother, Toph, and Sue, and they'd have the family reunion. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff kind of still to happen, and I'm not really sure how much is going to happen in each episode going forward. Like, we still don't know how many episodes the finale is going to be. I would assume it's going to be 2, 3, or 4, and don't see them going any more. So we're potentially looking at the fact that, you know, like, next episode could be like our last one before the finale. But I think they would have told us before now, so I'm assuming 3 or 2 episodes for the finale. So yeah, that's been my speculation. Definitely let me know what your thoughts are on going into the next episode, Beyond the Wilds. Final thing I'll mention is just if you want more of my thoughts on K408 Remembrances, we obviously had the Korra Roundtable podcast for that yesterday. I'll have a link in the description where you can go onto the site and find that podcast. It's shorter than most of our episode reviews, obviously, because there wasn't as much to talk about in this episode. But I still think it was a very interesting discussion, as we kind of found some positives in otherwise kind of fairly like lackluster kind of clip show episode. Plus, we also, as a kind of group, discussed the whole budget cut thing as well. So there's some pretty nice discussion there if you want to see it. But yeah, thanks for watching this this video, and bye.